All right, let's jump straight into this explainer. Today, we're tearing down a really fascinating module from the Crimson Grove curriculum. We're going to look at exactly how this approach tackles fundamental phonics. Specifically, we're zeroing in on the letter U, but we're doing it right alongside these essential, lifelong character-building concepts. Because, it's really not just about learning how to read, it's about shaping a kid's entire mindset. And that dual-purpose vibe, it hits you right away. This quote, straight from the curriculum, shows immediately that we aren't just teaching a letter to young minds here. We're instilling a foundational life value. Empathy and curiosity are literally baked right into the ABCs from page 1. So, to unpack all of this, we'll quickly follow this roadmap. We'll start with a theme of understanding, move on to meeting the letter U, build up some vocabulary, dive into storytelling, look at the practical application, and then wrap up with wisdom for tomorrow. Okay, kicking things off with our first focus, the theme of understanding, which is all about curiosity and respect. This brings us right to the lesson's core encouragement. Understanding opens unlimited possibilities. I love this because it frames the entire lesson not as some strict academic chore, but as an open-minded exploration. Just imagine a bright, chaotic, wonderful classroom filled with books and kids learning together. That is the exact environment this curriculum is trying to set up. It makes learning feel like an actual adventure. Moving right along to part 2, meeting the letter U. Let's get into the actual phonics mechanics. Vowels, right? If you've ever actually sat down and tried to teach a kid how to read, you know they can be a bit of a headache. They're tricky. So the absolutely crucial point here is establishing U formally as a vowel. The text clearly defines it for the student. It's the foundational building block for literally everything else that follows. By explicitly calling it a vowel right out of the gate, it perfectly sets the stage for those different phonetic variations the kids are about to learn. And here's how they illustrate that contrast for young learners. The curriculum cleanly separates the sounds into 2 camps using highly accessible, everyday examples. You've got the short sound, like in umbrella or up, directly contrasted with the long sound, like in unicorn or uniform. It essentially maps out the differences so a child can instantly grasp the dual nature of this specific vowel. Then it pivots straight to active participation. The lesson prompts the students and educators to say the sound out loud together. Honestly, it's a simple call to action, but it's incredibly vital. It locks in that auditory recognition and makes the learning process physical and communal. You're getting everyone in the room speaking the exact same phonetic language at the same time. All right, part 3, building featured vocabulary. Let's see how they build these words. By grouping a selection of the 20 source words, the hidden structure of the lesson is totally exposed. Notice how it scales up? You start with tangible, everyday items a kid can touch, like an umbrella or a utensil, and then move to actions and positions like up and unite. But then, and this is the genius part, it stretches their minds into big, abstract, character-building concepts like universe and unity. It's absolutely not just a random list of words. It's practically a ladder of cognitive complexity. Which leads us to section 4, sentences and storytelling. Let's look at contextualizing those words. Take a look at this example. The lesson uses really delightful storytelling, like Uncle Ugo playing his ukulele beautifully, or maybe a unicorn galloping around, or a puppy hiding under a table. This activates the vocabulary in a child's mind. It's so much easier for a kid to remember a sound when they've got a vivid mental picture to attach it to, right? These sentences literally breathe life into the phonics. But wait, notice how the text seamlessly weaves that character-building theme right back in? Unity and understanding make us stronger friends. It shows us that reading simple sentences can also be an exercise in teaching compassion. They are decoding the words mechanically, sure, but simultaneously they are absorbing the value of the concept itself. It's a highly effective dual-track educational approach. On to section 5, practical application. Time for the structured exercises. So, what we have here is a very clear, structured escalation of difficulty. This progression guides the student from the easiest recognition tasks, like step 1, just circling the letter U in a mix of other letters. Then they level up to matching words to pictures, filling in missing letters, and reading and coloring. Finally, they arrive at step 5, which brings in complex fine motor skills like physically tracing and writing the letters and words. It's an incredibly methodical scaffold. And right after those hands-on tracing pages, the curriculum throws in this reinforcing encouragement. Understanding helps us grow together. It serves as a really gentle reminder to the child, and honestly to the educator as well, why these mechanics actually matter. You aren't just making lines on a page, you're participating in a communal growth process. It keeps the motivation high and ties everything back to the central theme. Finally, Section 6, Wisdom for Tomorrow. Let's zoom out to the broader educational philosophy. Looking at the overall framework, it clearly combines phonics and vocabulary with structured practice. But looking past the pure academics, the text notes that it fosters a colorful, faith-friendly environment that heavily integrates character-building values. The ultimate goal here isn't just churning out a student who knows their vowels. It's about developing confident, compassionate learners. It's a completely holistic framework designed to empower kids with both hard academic skills and strong inner values. The lesson officially closes out with this powerful motto found right in the footer: understanding today, wisdom tomorrow. And I think this just perfectly highlights the long game of education. It neatly ties that daily, sometimes repetitive phonics practice, the understanding today, to the much bigger ultimate goal of long-term wisdom and personal growth. It's just a fantastic anchor for any educator to hold on to. So, I'm going to leave you with this question to ponder. How can you apply this open-minded, dual-track learning approach to inspire unlimited understanding in your own teaching journey? Whether you're an educator, a parent, or just somebody who is totally fascinated by how we learn and process information, I really hope this explainer inspires you to look at early education through this structured, yet deeply compassionate lens. Thanks so much for joining me on this deep dive into the building blocks of both literacy and character. Catch you next time.